Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to QTET. This is episode 4. Today we'll be looking at silent gear. Hopefully within a fair amount of detail, but won't be definitely super in-depth by any stretch of the imagination, but hopefully we can get you enough knowledge imparted here so that you can do your own thing with the mod itself, whether you want to do it sort of early game, which we're here, or into the mid game, and probably have better options late game. But get by what we can with the mod pack, or with that particular mod in the mod pack here. So we need to get to this tinkering achievement, which is crafting blueprint paper. We'll go in and we'll take a look at the blueprint paper there. It requires some infused tessellite dust and some paper. So the infused tessellite dust, well, seems complicated, and it is to a degree, but not really so much. Should be able to be made with all of the things that we've gotten along so far. So we need some obsidian in our metallurgic infuser, and we'll infuse that into some tessellite. So the one thing to note here is that if we use the refined obsidian, which is just the, looks like ground up obsidian there, that'll get us 10 obsidian. So one of those would equivalent to doing one of these crafts. But if we get the enriched obsidian, that one there will actually get us 80 in this 80 units of refined obsidian to use, so we could do 8 times. Now to get this enriched obsidian, it really just takes one obsidian dust and a little bit of RF thrown in the enrichment chamber. So it's basically you're taking one, like if you use the enrichment chamber, which we got last time, you can change 1 unit of that item into 10. So that, with that in mind, we'll just go here. So to get this refined obsidian, we do need to use up some diamond. So once again, if we use just a diamond dust, which you could use a crusher on to get that, or if you take a diamond and put it in the enrichment chamber, you'll get this enriched diamond, which will allow you to do 8 crafts. So we'll just go back here again and take a look. So for that, we'll need obsidian dust. Now I kind of jumped the gun on this a little bit, and I'm like, oh, obsidian dust, you get that by grinding obsidian. So yeah, and I didn't bother really looking through JEI. I just kind of rushed it and went and grabbed Mechanism's Crusher, and then found out that obsidian dust doesn't come from Mechanism's Crusher, it comes from Mechanism's enrichment chamber. So you put the obsidian in the enrichment chamber and you'll get 4 obsidian dust out there. So I kind of built the crusher and didn't need it. I don't need it right now. It will be handy later on when we want to get up to 5 times ore doubling with Mechanism. But so we'll use it later on down the line. It's not a total waste of my resources, but we don't need it right now. So we'll see that I got it over here. And then, you know, if we can look at some of the recipes in there. It just takes these clumps and breaks them down for us, but we can also get some biofuel, which does have some uses in some other things later, like if we want a biogenerator, and then it'll be used. And I think there's a couple of other crafts. I think it's used in the enrichment, in the infuser here in this slot and further down the line, so we might need that crusher sooner rather than later anyways. Alright, so back to the task at hand. We want to get some refined obsidian, or some of the infused tessellite dust, and I think I put all my tessellite away, so we'll just come back here. So if we go to our enrichment chamber, we throw in one of the refined obsidian, that will get us 8 units, right? Because that'll make us our enriched obsidian. We put our enriched obsidian in there, and that gets us 80, and then we can put the 8 tessellite in there. Then that will get us 8 of the refined tessellite, or infused tessellite. So I've already gone ahead and done a bunch of this already. Just kind of forget where I actually put it. Did I put it in here? Yes, I did. So that gets us a whole bunch of that blueprint paper. I don't need all 24 right now, I guess, but we can, and now with this blueprint paper and the uses on that, that will make us our blueprints for getting into the silent gear. So we'll just take a look at over here, and we'll see we've got a whole bunch of different things over here. There's a couple that we can ignore. So the tool rod blueprint says it's just a workaround or a placeholder. It's not usually needed. Same with the grip and the tip. So 3 things to note there. There are extra parts. So this kind of works like Tinkers in a way. We'll have the tool rod part, a grip, which kind of goes with the tool rod part, but it's just an extra thing, add-on, and the tip, which is again just another add-on there. So then we've got all these different things. We've got shields, we've got swords, daggers, katanas, machetes, spears. Then some of the things you may know from Tinkers, or I know from Tinkers, like a lumber axe, an excavator, a hammer. So these are for doing like mass amounts of mining. A paxel, which I think I'm going to go with because that'll triple up as our axe tool, or pickaxe and shovel all in one. And then we've got a regular axe, a regular shovel, a regular pickaxe, which we'll steer away from for now. The mattock, if you wanted something that's a mix between an axe and a hoe, but I don't see us needing a hoe a lot, and I don't see us needing a sickle a lot, and I don't see us needing shears a lot, so we'll just steer away from those. And then we've got ranged weapons. Slingshot, it doesn't even show us the recipe for the slingshot, so I'm not sure what's going on there. And then there's all of the armor parts as well, so those are all just basic, exactly what they come from in the vanilla crafting. You just need an extra stick in there with your things. So like I said, I think I'm going to go with a paxel. So to do this, we'll need 2 sticks and 5 pieces of the tool rod, and then that will get us the blueprint. Now the use on this is we combine the blueprint with 5 different, it can be different, it can be all the same. And that will get us the paxel head, or if we actually throw in the rod part that we want as well, then we'll get the tool proper. Now the thing about combining things in silent gears is that all of these things have main parts. See, it says tier. So tier 0, 1, 2, 3, and then there's, in this mod pack anyways, 4 tiers. And we can look at them in JEI just by typing them out there. So we got wood as our tier 0. There's some extra things that pop up in here, so we'll just ignore those for now. Then we go up to tier 1, which is basically our stone stuff. And then a couple of the metals, which are tier 1 as well. Copper, tin, and zinc. If we pop up to tier 2, we can see steel, brass, yada yada yada. All these things are there for you to peruse if you want. And then if we pop up to tier 3, and it's raining and dark, so let's get rid of that for now, just so I don't get ambushed by that bouncing around endermen or any of those creepers that seem to love me so much in this pack. So tier 3 here, we've got things like bismuth, steel, and yeah, we can just go through all of those. So I looked at all of the tier 3 and tier 4 items and seeing what might be the best to do there. In vanilla, quote-unquote vanilla silent. There is a tier 5, but not in this pack. So just we can forget about tier 5. So if we go back to tier 4 and we hold control on here, we can see we've got, and this stuff seems to be pretty good, and it's aside from the Enderium, which takes ender pearls, it's not too bad to craft as well. So the Lumium, it just takes silver and tin and some glowstone. We've already pretty much, well, I did go to the nether between episodes there, so it's not too bad to get into the nether to see all of that stuff there. If you want to get nether items, and then Signalum, again, this one's not too bad to craft. It's copper and silver with some redstone. It's kind of hefty on the redstone, but at the end of the day, it's really not that bad. But when we look at all of the stats there, the things I'm paying attention to, durability, the harvest level, and the attack damage, because I was kind of like to use, like if you've seen me in the past, I use an axe as my main weapon usually. So I kind of like to have a higher attack damage on that, but I think I'm probably going to be making a weapon separately in this pack, aside from using that as my tool. So I might actually just go with a tier 3 item, which I was thinking of doing something with one of the bismuth things. So this bismuth brass kind of mixed or kind of kept things interesting between the high durability, a high harvest speed, and a high attack damage. So the other one that actually had a high attack damage was the bismuth steel, but this is quite a bit more complicated to craft because we need bismuth and steel, and then obviously the steel is just coal dust and iron as well. So I mean, we can get there. It's not that hard, but the bismuth brass obviously is a little bit easier, just requiring copper and zinc, and I don't see much use for zinc other than getting in there, and then the bismuth, which we got as well. So the difference is the bismuth steel has got an attack of 6 and 1600 durability, but the bismuth steel does have a lower harvest speed, so it'll be slower to break things down. And then the bismuth brass has a little bit higher harvest speed, but obviously it has the lower attack and durability. The one other thing that we do have to pay attention to is that we can mix and match our different kinds of materials when making a tool. And what you really do need to pay attention to if you want to do that is the rarity stat. So bismuth steel has a rarity of 40. Aluminum steel doesn't have a rarity, so I'm not sure what that means there, but bismuth steel, again, same rarity of 40. And if we go through some of these, the compressed iron has a rarity of 40. Bismuth, it's just by itself only 35. So if we keep those consistent, we'll actually get a bonus to our overall stats at the end of the craft. So that's really kind of interesting to me. Again, we got diamonds and emeralds as well. So if we throw a diamond in there, we're going to get, our harvest speed's going to end up being lower on an average overall, but it could be made up by the increase in the bonus that we get at the end of the day. So I'm not 1000% sure exactly where we'll end up with that, but we do need to make sure that we end up with that rarity 40, because I'm probably going to be using the mix now that I know all of this and I've taken a little bit more detailed look at it. But a mix of all of these items with the rarity 40 at the end of it. So our Paxel, again, it requires 5 item types, And I don't know that we've got 5 different 40s in here, right? We've got bismuth steel, bismuth brass, the compressed iron, which this one's actually a little bit difficult to get to, but not super difficult, but again, it is a little bit difficult to get to. So that's 3, 4 with the uranium, and then 5 with the diamond. So we could probably get all 5 and then hit our maximum bonus level at the end of all of that. So let me do all of that crafting, and we'll get at least one of each of those, and we'll see kind of where we end up at the end of that. So we'll throw this on a probably intermittent pause there. It'll take me a while to craft all those items up, because like I said, when I started this episode, I wasn't 100% sure where I'd end up. I was just going to do like an all bismuth brass, and if you use 5 pieces of bismuth brass, you'll just get a 1-to-1 ratio, obviously, on your bonus. But I think if we mix and match, we might end up higher than these stats overall. So I'm just going to go and get that together, and then we'll take a look at it at the end of the episode. So we'll be back to wrap this up here in, well, a second or two for you guys, probably closer to a half an hour for me. So we'll be back there in a moment. All right, everybody. So I got back here and I actually found out that there is 2 of the items which I couldn't manage to craft. So while I could probably manage to get this compressed iron done, it does require a compressor, which requires this alloy machine frame, a couple of diamonds, and a circuit board. Overall, it's not too bad, but I already had to go ahead and get the basic alloy smelter just so that I could get the bismuth steel and the bismuth brass going. So I'm not making that second tool or item just to see how everything works out at the end, because I think I've already made my decision anyways. So if we look at this, because the stick, the tool rod portion is kind of throwing a factor into it as well, but I tested it out with the different amounts of items in there, so it doesn't matter which way we go. At the end of the day, we only get a synergy of 128 as the maximum with these 3 different items. So between the diamonds, the bismuth brass, and the bismuth steel, doesn't matter which. I think it actually does matter a little bit. Yes, so we get a little bit of different things depending on how we orient these into the grid. So it'll take the stats of the best one here first, and then if we put that back down to the end, see our harvest speeds, we got up to all the way up to 11 here now, although our attack speed has been reduced a bit and our durability down to 2201. But just goes to show how things can change if you just move things around in that grid there. There we got harvest speed up to 11.01. 11.68, but with our durability falling down to 1992. So there is quite a bit of stuff that you can play around with in here just to work things out, and then to make things even more complicated. If I change out my stick for a bone, we'll get a little bit more attack damage, but a harvest speed goes down and the durability will go up a little bit. See, our durability goes up by 1.1, harvest speed goes down by 10%, but attack damage goes up. And then the other thing that I made was some iron rods, just to see how that worked everything out. These things, the iron rods don't do a lot, so I'm not sure that I really want to use these, but we get a lot more durability out of it at the end. So if we wanted to max our durability, that's probably the best way to go. And I think this is what I'm actually going to end up doing here, is getting these things with a little bit of extra synergy for a little bit extra kick, because if see, I take that diamond out and go with like 2, oh, not the bismuth, I want bismuth brass. Synergy goes down, but overall the harvest speed went down, but durability went up. So much to play with in there. You guys can have at what you want. I think if I just went with the base stats on just the regular bismuth brass, I'm going to end up with 1200 durability as opposed to 2587. But that's with a 1.3 on the iron rod, right? So what do we got here? 1054, 96, and 2587. 11, 10.11, and 2861. Their durability goes up, but the other things suffer a little bit. Again, durability going up, with the other two going down a bit more again. So much to play with in there. I will mix around in it there. We'll find out exactly how I want to min-max it, but I think this is what I'm going to end up doing with it at the end of the day anyways. I mean, I would like to have the highest harvest speed, but that's not super important. Like, maybe having the damage and the durability maxed on it is better, right? So 831 and 2972, 966 and 2983. I think maybe at the end of the day I want to have the one that had, oh, because the tool rod's mixing things up on me as well in here, right? I had 10 on one, 10 on the other. Again, lots and lots of stuff to play with. There are other tool rods that you can look at, but I don't have access to them just yet, like getting the blaze rod. There would get us an even bigger boost in durability, and harvest speed would go up, and attack, like everything goes up with the blaze rod there. Just the one thing to note is that when I did pop into the nether, I didn't see I got a pretty wide berth on my zeros map, and I didn't see a fortress anywhere, so I'm not quite sure which direction I gotta go to try and find a fortress for the blaze rod. So would be good just to go straight up to that, but unfortunately I can't do that just now, but we can always get there later. These tools aren't too hard to make at the end of the day. Steel rod says it's from mapper base, but it might do something in silence. I'm not 100% sure. And then the other one is a compound rod, so using 2 different materials to make a tool rod to get some different effects there as well. As I alluded to earlier, there's a couple of other add-ons that we can do. One is a grip. So there's a couple of different grips. So there's wool, all the different colors of wool, all will do the same thing. Those give us repair efficiency increase and a harvest speed increase and attack speed increase. And then the leather will give us a little bit less on the repair efficiency, but will increase our harvest speed a little bit more. And then the last one would be the compound, which would be, I guess, mixing leather and wool, but I'm not 100% sure how that's all going to work. And then last but not least is the tips. So we'll need to make an upgrade base and then choose what kind of upgrade that we want to do. And the one I'm definitely going to be going for on my tool will be, my mining tool especially, will be the lapis one to get the lucky stat on it. So my harvest speed's going down anyways, but you know, I'm gonna, well, I don't see much else in the other thing. And then if you're going to do a weapon, definitely you would want to go with the quartz tip, because that gets you your damage on it, right? Glowstone if you want to up your harvest speed. And then even on the redstone isn't even as good as the glowstone, right, for harvest speed. But you get a little bit more attack damage out of the redstone if you wanted to increase that as well. And then, yeah, there's nothing else with lucky in there except on, what else was on there? There was something else that had some lucky on it, but it was only lucky 2, where I think the lucky 4 on this lapis tip will end up overriding that anyways with the 4. Anyways, that's it from me for Silent Gears. Silence Gear. My mind is blown. I hope yours isn't as blown as mine, but yeah, good luck with it if you're going to be getting into that, because that takes tinkers and you know, puts the combinations into the stratosphere, whereas I thought tinkers was overwhelming at some points. Silence takes it even further. I guess one other thing to note, which I should have mentioned, is there is the crafting station, which you can craft, which will assist you in crafting your Silent Gears. It's not too bad to put together. You just need one of these upgrade bases, which you're going to need to get these tips anyways. And that's not too bad. It's just paper, wood, and stone, any forged stone. So cooked stone, or the, like I said, the diorite, andesite, granite type of stuff will get you 4 upgrade bases. So it'll get you 1 to make the crafting station, as well as a couple of tips to go with your various tools that you're going to be making. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thumbs up if you did, and comment if there is some things that I missed. I appreciate you all, and we'll see you in the next one.